Good morning.
Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the May 3rd Planning Commission meeting. Before we get started, we'll ask the director to read the preamble.
Good morning, everyone. In compliance with notification requirements of Ohio's open meeting law and section 101.021 of the codified ordinances of Cleveland, Ohio, 1976, notice of this meeting has been publicly posted. All boards and commissions under the purview of the City Planning Department conducts its meetings according to Robert's Rules of Order. Actions during the meeting will be taken by voice vote. Recusals from any vote due to a conflict of interest should be stated for the record prior to the taking of any vote. In order to ensure that everyone participating in the meeting has the opportunity to be heard, we ask that you use the raise hand feature before asking a question or making a comment. The raise hand feature can be found in the participants panel on the desktop and mobile version and activated by clicking the hand icon. Please wait for the chair or facilitator to recognize you and be sure to select unmute and announce yourself before you speak. When finished speaking, please lower your hand by clicking on the raise hand icon again and mute your microphone. We will also be utilizing the chat feature to communicate with participants. The chat feature can be activated by clicking the chat button located on the bottom of the WebEx screen. All users can unmute by using *6. All meeting activity is being recorded via the WebEx platform. Proceedings are also being live streamed via YouTube. All requests to speak on a particular matter submitted through proper channels have been considered. We've also received emails from those who have provided written comment on a particular matter. Proper channels for comments are listed below. Communication with members of this body must follow proper channels for consideration. Any comments received by the Wednesday 12 p.m. deadline are collected by city planning staff and disseminated to commission members prior to any scheduled meeting. Proper channels for public comment include sending an email to cityplanning@clevelandohio.gov, calling or leaving a message at our phone number, sending a letter or dropping off comments at City Hall. A little bit more about the procedures. The chair will call each agenda item, and each applicant will be invited to proceed through their presentation. Each presentation should be completed prior to questions and comments from the commission to facilitate a smooth presentation. Once the presentation is ended, the chair will ask planning staff to summarize design review committee recommendations and public comments received. Deadline for public comments, as we discussed, is noon the Wednesday prior to any regularly scheduled meeting. Staff will also identify any members of the public present and schedule to speak. Public comment is allowed at the discretion of the chair, and any individual providing public comment is permitted 2 minutes to speak to the agenda item in which they have an interest. The chair will then request a recommendation from staff if applicable. The commission will then begin deliberations and project review. Any commission member except the chair may make a motion at any point after an agenda item has been called.
Let's call the meeting to order.
Anthony.
Present.
Hooker. Curry.
Present.
McCray Scott.
Present.
McKnight.
Present.
Sargent. Slight.
Present.
Here we have a forum.
Quorum. First matter is to approve the minutes from the April 19th meeting. We have those here if anyone needs them or in advance. If you are not present, just please abstain. I have a motion to approve the minutes from the April 19th meeting.
I make a motion that the minutes from the previous meeting be accepted.
Madam Chair, I was only here for a portion, so.
The original. The councilman was here. Charles,
Yes.
can you second?
Yeah, second.
Motion and a second, call the roll.
Anthony.
Abstain.
Curry.
Yes.
McCray Scott.
Yes,
McKnight.
Abstain.
Slight.
Yes.
Motion carried. All right, first, 2 items are zoning matters, which are a public hearing. I don't have my things in front of me, but I know this by heart, so if I get it wrong, it's okay. If you can correct me if I'm wrong. So public hearing means that we will take public comment. First, we'll hear from staff who will present the zoning matter. And then we'll hear from actually any of the applicants. This could be the developer or council person or the person who is putting forward the zoning matter. And then we'll open it up for public comment. We'll hear from those in favor first and those opposed second. Or if you have a question, you can also ask that at any time. We'll ask that you state your name clearly and your address if you're an affected property owner or adjacent property owner, and that you keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. So with that, the first item is an unnumbered ordinance establishing a 0-foot map setback from the property line along the easterly and westerly sides of Pearl Road between Germain Avenue and Archmore Avenue. Good morning.
Madam Chair, good morning, Commission. Xavier Bay, City Planner with City Planning. So as you just heard, the proposal of to establish the 0-foot map setback on Pearl Avenue. The purposes of this map change is to allow for adaptive reuse of vacant properties and to promote a variety of housing typologies and promote walkability, which is in alignment with our connecting Cleveland 2020 plan. And so the existing zoning, there's not an existing map setback along this section of Pearl. There was in the past, it was 2022. There were some establishments of 0-foot setbacks and the urban form overlays north of here to promote more of the walkability along this corridor and mixed uses. So the section right now that we're looking at is local retail. Here's the proposition of the 0-foot setback between Germain and Archmere. This area has a mix of uses, retail and residential uses. The main purpose of this, map setback change is to encourage more infill of residential uses. Because if it's not mixed use, the residential use will be required to maintain that setback that's along the street. And so this is another brief about map setbacks. These can only be changed with legislation. They are the front yard space in which no structures or parking can be located, and they take precedence over all other setback regulations. So here's an aerial view, just to kind of give you some of that context along Pearl Avenue. You can see some of the retail going on, actually, essentially as well. So you have some views on the southeasterly side of Pearl Avenue. You can see some of the existing retail or inherited like auto uses that are already existing there as well. Here's on the top, and then on the bottom you can see a vacant motel, which there's actually some a proposition in the near future to reuse this space. So this is another reason why we're really looking at this corridor to encourage more infill and adaptive reuse of some of these structures. And so here, the northern view, you can see just continuing down that side of Pearl Avenue, auto retail. And then on the southern, the picture on the bottom there, you can see some of the residential that's already existing. And so really, if any of these structures are going to be reused for residential, they have to align with the setback on the street. And so there could be conflicts where, as you can see on the bottom image here, some of the residential structures being set back more from the building parcel line of this along Pearl Avenue here doesn't allow an easy infill. Board zoning feels limited in some circumstances to actually give those front yard setbacks. And so that's just it, the proposal here to really establish the 0-foot map setback to encourage more reuse, adaptive reuse and infill of residential along this section of Pearl Avenue. We do have support from the councilman, Harsh. He's provided a letter, and he mentioned that he would be able to be here today.
He requested it, and the driving force is the Oak Motel there, the Oak Park Motel, is a proposal changing into all residential. And so that was really the driving force of requiring this 0-foot setback. this legislation is the purpose.
That concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Is there any other applicant or any other person, council person, anyone speaking to this? No. Okay. So we'll open up the public portion. Is there anybody online or here who who would like to speak to this matter first in favor of the zoning map amendment? I don't have, my computer's not working. But I don't see anyone. I would see them. Is there anybody here who's opposed to the zoning change or has a question? Okay. We'll close the public portion. Any questions, comments, discussion? Commission member to my right is conflicted. She lives in the neighborhood. I'm just kidding. She does. Might have some insights for us. Any questions? Or
I drive past that old hotel all the time, and I'm exciting to hear that there may be something happening there. Questions?
Yeah, no question. Seems like a good proposal. I will move then to approve the zoning map change as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second. Call the roll.
Anthony,
Yes.
Curry,
Yes.
Ray Scott,
Yes.
McKnight,
Yes.
Slight,
Yes.
Motion carries. The next zoning text amendment is citywide. This is supplementing the codified ordinances of the city of Cleveland by amending chapters 34301, 34311, and 34502, and 347-191. And this is for state licensed adult use marijuana cultivators, processors, retail dispensaries, and test laboratories. I assume that okay, staff's going first. We will also take public comment once we get through the presentation.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Commission, Shannon Leonard, Chief Zoning Planner. So as you all may remember, or be aware, back in November, the state of Ohio, 57% voted in favor to allow for adult use marijuana dispensaries and cultivators across the state of Ohio at 57%. And so the initial applications for retail dispensaries and cultivators get started around June 7th. Right now, as it is currently regulated, we only regulate the state licensed medical marijuana facilities across the city, and those are highly regulated by the state as well. And so without adding this legislation, essentially you would not be able to have adult use cannabis retail dispensaries or cultivators and processors. So that's really the main purpose of this legislation. And so I'm just kind of walking through what some of those look like and make this pretty quick. But the proposal here is currently regulated under the ORC. It allows for those that are 21 years and older that are legally allowed to consume or possess cannabis on or after December 7th, 2023. So it legalized 2.5 ounces of adult use cannabis in any form except the extract and 15 grams of adult use cannabis in the form of adult use extract. Customer can purchase up to 2.5 ounces per day from a licensed adult use dispensary. They can grow up to 6 plants for personal use or up to 12 plants at your home per household. And that was as of December 7th, 2023. An individual is allowed to gift up to 6 plants, and then there are no limitations on how individuals 21 years and older may consume it, smoking, vaping, edibles, on or after December 7th, 2023. And really, they took the criminalization of that. The current regulations of the law are they require security systems for the public and employees and video surveillance, regulations on storage of product behind locked areas. There's additional regulations on displaying product, including the amounts, how it can or cannot be stored. There's hours are limited from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. There's an inventory control and then labeling of products. So it's really very highly controlled. And there's a division of cannabis control. Similar, you could think about liquor control. in the state of Ohio, they're only issuing 50 licenses across the entire state for retail dispensaries and only 40 additional licenses for cultivators. And then there's a program that they were required to start called the Cannabis Social Equity and Jobs Program by the Department of Development that will give preference in our communities for those that join that program and have the cultivator/retail dispensary licenses. So right now, the current state that we allow in our city for medical marijuana is pretty restricted. It's only allowed in general retail for retail dispensaries, but it follows that state law of having to be required from 500 feet from churches, parks, schools, daycares, recs, and libraries, and that will continue with adult use. But currently, our code only for the medical marijuana is actually more restrictive than the state because it's supposed to be allowed in all retail areas, and we only allow it in general retail and then up in the pyramid. So there's just an example of the medical marijuana dispensaries operating today. Here in Cleveland, there's the RISE facility. Here's one in Michigan. Here's an example of one also here in Lakewood. Just give you an idea of what these places look like inside. They look like small pharmacies or cafes. Here's one in Akron. And so this is currently, what you see in white is the only places right now that meet that 500-foot rule, but also meet our zoning code rules, which only allow it in general retail and up. And so what the proposal today is to allow this also in local retail. So moving from general retail down to local retail, and that will allow for more, if you will, infill development of some of our vacant retail storefronts. So this is just giving you an example of currently this is where it's allowed. So it's only minimally making it a little bit more allowed in our retail districts because of that 500-foot buffer, but also because of the state rules. So essentially, we're just proposing to allow it in local retail. As you can see, this is just like a really integrated chart of how our zoning code works. And so we're just proposing to allow it in more existing structures in our commercial neighborhood districts. And then these will allow for more dispensaries to be existing in our storefronts. Sorry. So that's it.
Okay.
That's all I got. So we're proposing the changes. So the changes in the code will allow in local retail, that 500-foot buffer stays, and then also allowing the adult use cultivators and processors in our semi-industry districts, which that's where it's currently allowed.
Okay. Just a technical question before I open up. It doesn't change the total number of licenses. It's just the location. So
No.
like it's just more flexibility about where, but as people apply, like the total number that's allowed in the city of Cleveland is staying the same. It's just increasing the area.
That's correct. It's
Okay.
just opening up a few more like retail
Retail
vacant
places, got
storefronts
it.
that could be used for these types of uses.
It's also using the park green designation. Very confusing to me. I'm just kidding.
Student assistant prepared this map for us in the PowerPoint.
I'm just kidding. It's like, I was like, oh, we're adding more parks. Okay. Is there anyone here online or in who would like to speak in favor of this text amendment, zoning text amendment? Okay, is there anybody here who is opposed to the zoning map amendment, text amendment? Or has a question? All right, we'll close the public portion. Commission members, any questions, comments?
I have a question. So you're saying the recreational is only allowed in general retail, the the medical dispensaries, and so you're expanding it. So both medical and recreational would be allowed in local retail as well.
That's correct, but it doesn't change the amount of license issued by the state or that 500-foot buffer that's still going to be required for either medical or we're just opening it up to allow for currently adult use is not permitted in the city. And so we're just opening that up to
Madam
Go ahead.
Madam Chair, and this is not necessarily for the zoning, just wondering if you know this information, Shannon, through your research. So if the licenses are restricted, to what extent I guess I'm trying to understand like density of where they may be located. Like, do we at the local level, I guess, have any control to understand where folks will be? Because it does seem like the southern portion of like 17 and a big part of 12, like there's a larger footprint there. And I'm just wondering, just from like a density standpoint of where they may be located, to what extent are we, the city, involved in like deciding once the licenses are full? If that makes sense.
Yeah, so they also can't be within 500 feet of another existing dispensary or cultivator
Gotcha.
across the
Okay,
state.
sorry
That's a
about
state
that.
regulation. And so these will follow that. We're just changing the zoning use district to first allow it in local retail for the retail dispensaries.
So you can't have like a dispensary district.
No.
Okay, that's, I think.
No,
Yeah, that's, I would like stack,
No,
like, you know,
no.
boom, 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 boom.
And you're
Yeah.
right, and actually we have maps if you all are interested in every single ward, what the current disallowed use is, what this would do to open it up, where those could go. And there's some areas that just, like Ward 1, I think, is mostly residential, like 70% of this ward is
Right.
residential, so there's not a lot of space.
And I will mention that the southern part of Ward 17 is the airport,
That's what I figured,
and
yeah.
the Ward 12 area is the industrial valley.
Yeah.
So it's quite heavy industrial.
Thank you.
One other question in that vein, is there anything in the zoning that would prevent, or that, like, if, one of these would be licensed, like, within a restaurant, or within a mixed-use project, or within like does it have to be alone, or could it be like part of a cafe that's a mixed use? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. That's a great question. I think they have to be standalone. Now, they are saying that the ones that already have medical marijuana licenses or that are the cultivators also are adjoined to a retail dispensary associated with it. Those types of uses can go together, but whether you can have, since you can't be within 500 feet of residential and all of those things, it kind of takes away the mixed use of having like an apartment. But that's a good question, whether you can have
Like a coffee
cafe
shop
next, like a coffee
inside
next to
it?
it.
Yeah, yeah. Can you
Yeah,
do
that's
that?
a great question. I'll look into that.
It's just, I mean, I think as things change and evolve, you can imagine in places where, you would go to a coffee shop, it would be part of the experience, that kind of thing. So anyway. Commissioner Members?
To make a motion that the presentation be approved as presented for the state license of marijuana cultivators and retail dispensaries, testing laboratories.
Second,
Motion and a second. Call the roll.
Anthony,
yes.
Curry,
Yes.
Prescott, McKnight,
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Motion carries. All right, we'll go on to design review. The first item is Downtown Flats.
Madam Chair, I
Oh.
would want to know Councilman Valencic did come online.
Oh, he is.
So
Okay.
I would like to-
Councilman Polensek, if you're online, we're gonna go to the one that you're here for. That is item number 3 for us. That's page 6. This is DF 2024-020. Sorry, not that one. It's the mandatory referral. Sorry, page 7.
That was this.
407-2.
Okay, it's page 7. Authorizing the mayor and commissioners of purchase and supplies to sell certain city-owned properties no longer needed for public use at 9910 Woodward Avenue to Gordon Crossing Land. Is that the one?
407.
Okay, apologize. Let's go to page 8. This is ordinance number 407-2024, authorizing the mayor and commissioner of purchases and supplies to sell certain owned property no longer needed for city's public use at the southeast corner of Grovewood Avenue and East 164th Street to the Greater Cleveland Habitat for Humanity. I don't need to swear you in. City Cassandra, welcome. Go ahead.
Yes.
Before maybe you go, I have a question. How do you want to handle this? Do you want me to let the councilman go first? Do you want to give any context?
Let's let the councilman speak first and then I
Okay.
can add to that before we
Okay.
proceed.
Okay, Councilman Polensik, would you like to speak first or would you like to wait till the presentation?
He's muted.
He may not be there.
Okay. Well,
Okay,
so this, I'll share a little bit more about the project and then Cassie and Jay will proceed. So this project has been in the works for some time, by the request of Councilman Polensik in partnership with Habitat for Humanity. And the proposal before us is, to build single-family homes that are affordable using the Habitat model. And in finding suitable locations for this particular project, a former pool site was identified that we see as excess land. And based on the level of service analysis that Jay will go through, I think that'll demonstrate to the commission that this is an appropriate site for housing. It's an appropriate site for single-family homes, as well as the surrounding area has quite a few acres of parkland already, and more is slated to be added. So between planning, MOCAP, and Public Works, we're aligned with the proposal. Director of Public Works, says that he's signed off on it. So has MOCAP and planning. And we'll let you proceed with the presentation first, and I'll add any additional context if needed. Thank you.
Good morning, Cassie Slansky with MOCAP in the Division of Real Estate. As the director stated, this is city-owned property located on the corner of Grovewood Avenue and East 164th. It's approximately 1.7 acres. It's currently a vacant lot with split zoning, 1 and 2 family district. The property, as you can see on this map, there's a few photos of the lot that was taken from the appraisal, just showing the different angles of the corner lot. As you can see on this map, it's just south of Humphrey Park, but it's surrounded by residential housing. It's right within that neighborhood. We also included a map to show all of the parks within the area. In yellow is the former pool site. Just north of that in blue is Humphrey Park, which is 25 acres. So, the site of the old pool is surrounded by housing, and it's 1 acre in comparison to the 25 acres at Humphrey Park. And then just north of Humphrey Park is the rec center, which also has a new pool that was expanded. It's open year round after this pool was closed. And then heading even further north just kind of shows an overview of all of the other parks that are in the area. A lot of that is city-owned park space that's, in partnership with Metro Parks. And then in gray, I'm sure many are aware, as well as some future park that's going on within that area. So we just wanted to be able to demonstrate for you guys a lot of the park that's already within this area and being maintained, and future plans as well. And then I'll turn it over to Jay. The next slide he's going to go over. He's working in MOCAP on the Parks and Rec plan.
Sure. Hi, I'm Jay Roshmak, Park and Recreation Planning Manager. So these are some maps we are preparing for the Park Recreation Plan. I'm just going to walk you through them really quickly. On the left side, you see a couple maps in green. These show the density of park acres on the top one. The second one is the number of parks within a 10-minute walk. That's using the TPL analysis that they do yearly. And also the bottom one is the number of park amenities within the park. So that's kind of give you a grade of how many amenities you get to when you get to a park. We'll kind of put all those together. Is what you get on the right side of the screen, looking at the purple shading. The very dark purple is where we think there's an overabundance of park amenities. Then you kind of go down. The middle shading is something to maintain, and the lighter purple is things that potentially add because we're missing out on acreage. So one important aspect of this Park Master Plan is that there's 3 components. We're looking to do make sure we meet the needs of the community. We want to improve the quality of the parks. When you get to the park, what is there? And then the third is making sure we have an equitable investment strategy in our park recreation. So looking at the old pool site, one thing we Trying to lose my train of thought here. Looking at the best, in the orange is the equitable investment model that we determined. That's using the economic and environmental justice screening tool. So looking at that, the old pool site is something we will not be investing in the next 15 years, most likely, based on that equity model. And based on looking at Humphrey Park, there's a lot of amenities there now. There's 4 or 5 baseball diamonds. There's a playground. We're adding a second playground this year using ARPA funding. It's gonna be more at the apex of the recreation center. So really, we really think that once you get to the old Grover site pool, there's not really anything for you there. And we don't have any plans invested in the next 15 years. So, and we have lots of plans to do stuff more at Humphrey Park to improve the quality of amenities at that park. So really, we really think that, this is underutilized land that could be for a better use. And we think that, concurrence with planning and public works, that housing is a much better use than a vacant lot when there's a park directly across the street with many amenities that the residents can utilize. In addition to all the other parks, north of the Humphrey Park, like at the rec center and the Cleveland Metro Parks as well. That is just really abundance in those amenities parks there.
Yeah, I'd like to underscore 2 points just now. So the mention of the outdoor pool at the former Grovewood pool site is now an indoor pool at Collinwood Rec used year round. So that amenity has stayed and continues to be in this newer facility. I think the second thing is that I want to underscore is that from a planning perspective, we're going to rely on the results of the Parks and Recreation Master Plan in order to determine the strategy of land use. And that will protect the process from, and protect the process from anyone who just wishes to use parkland for development. But we would also identify assets right now that are currently underutilized that could be disposed.
Is the councilman on? Councilman Flenser? So we'll see if he wants to say anything. I just want to say something. First, thank you. I would like to say, just since I raised this, I appreciate this. Is very helpful. Know that the commission over the years, and I've been on the commission 15 years, I think our role is to protect when you're all not here and we're not here, the idea that even if parkland is underutilized, that it is not sold off for because you can't get it back, right? For development unless we follow a process. So I thank you for this. And for me, the most important piece of this that I'd like on the record is the statement that the 1.7 acres is actually being replaced by more than 1.7 acres. I think that's what protects us in the future from saying, oh, well, that's not space we're going to invest in 15 years for me. I think it's the 1-for-1 replacement or even much more in this area. And the idea that that space isn't the best place, but other kind of access, especially to the lakefront, is being invested in. That's way more than 1.7 acres. Because one could argue that from a planning perspective, if invested in, that could be an extraordinary playground or pocket park. So that's not for me valid. What's most important for us to protect the future of the city is to what you've said, which is it's being replaced by much more than that. And in the future, we can actually require people, if they're selling parkland, to actually put back more or to really make the case. So thank you. For me, I'm fine. This makes a lot of sense. And so I'm supportive, but I just want to be careful for future generations of the city.
We also have Habitat. I think they're on the line too to kind of give a brief overview of their project and discuss what their plans are to the site.
We are here. This is Bob Whitney with Cleveland Habitat. I'm happy to present and provide a very brief overview, if that would be helpful.
Yes, very brief. Go ahead.
Great. Well, this is just the high level, the conceptual site plan for the 10 homes that we aim to build, as well as the 1.5 car garage. that we plan to install on this lot. I definitely want to thank and appreciate the work and support of both city planning, MOCAP, and Councilman Polensek. Councilman Polensek did direct us to this land, and I know he did provide a couple weeks ago a letter of support that does provide more historical context as well to the commission if that wants to be reviewed. But just want to keep it short and sweet. There's the high level conceptual site plan, and then I believe we have one more slide here that I'll just note on if we're able to switch to the next slide. Yeah, and this is just a very quick site plan note. We do have 2 adjacent driveways there. We have already discussed this with both city planning and building and housing, and they're supportive. The reason why they are adjacent is just because there would have been a telephone pole located in the driveway of sublot 2 if we had the driveway and garage different than what we have it now, and we didn't want to cause that safety issue. So we just decided to flip that. That still complies with the zoning based on our understanding and based on our conversations. So this was, a simple, easy fix in order to be able to get these houses in there and avoid the safety issue with the telephone pole. But that's it. We're just really excited. We do want to make this project happen and hope to break ground within the next few months and think it's a great opportunity for affordable home ownership. And also we're excited due to the fact that there is so much great green space and park around there that our families will be able to utilize. So that's all we got. Of course, happy to answer questions, but thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Member?
Can I make a motion? Make a motion for approval for the sale of the public lots located at the corner of Redwood Avenue and 164th.
Second.
Motion and second. Call the roll.
Anthony,
Yes.
Curry,
Yes.
McCray Scott,
Yes.
McKnight, Slight,
Yes.
Motion carries. I forgot to say she recused herself from that one. Thank you guys very much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck. So we're gonna go back to the flats design review, back to page 4. This is DF 2024-018. It's a design review matter. This is seeking final approval at 1052 Old River Road. Jessica, I don't know if Jessica's online. Oh, Jessica, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth as you shall answer to the penalty of perjury?
I do.
Thank you. Welcome. Yeah, or stand, whatever you prefer. It seems so like we're, but yeah, it's fine.
Excuse me, Madam Chair, we also have some staff slides, just for
Oh, sure.
the variances. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
So I'll just go through this pretty quickly. So at proposal here, 68 square foot business identification projecting sign for a High Five restaurant. And so just some quick notes about what business signs are, identification signs. Sorry, there's a typo there. You're not supposed to say canopy sign, it's supposed to say projecting sign. But just a sign identifying a business. Projecting sign is what you just saw. I'm going to go back into it too with some greater detail of the variances needed. Some location for you down in the flats and downtown residential core district. So why city planning? Chapter 350.16 gives City Planning Commission the ability to vary the sign code which is more less strict in design review districts. Your main notes to be looking at here is design compatibility, design guidelines, and minimum variation from the zoning code. So the variances requested here are necessary because the max permitted square footage for projecting signs is only 12 square feet, and the applicant here is proposing approximately 68 square feet. So the variance needed for 56 square feet applied to this projecting sign. It's also coming a bit further off from the post than the regulations provided in the sign code. The max distance from the wall surface is supposed to be 4 feet, and they're proposing 8 feet 4 inches. So the variance is needed for 4 feet 4 inches from the sign post. And I can come back to that slide when we're making the motion to that into the motion. So mainly you're considering, does this result in signage that's better suited to the design of the subject property or nearby properties? Does this result in signage that follows planning commission's standard of approval of approved design guidelines? And are these variances the minimum necessary to ensure design compatibility surrounding properties in residential neighborhoods? And so I grabbed some photos from the applicant's presentation, which is following after this, to just kind of show you what other signs are being applied. And that basically concludes the variances that are being requested today. So I guess would you like to hear more from the applicant before we go back to the motion for variances?
You can go back to it. Anything you'd like to add?
I don't think so.
Okay. You should add another consideration should be, is it cool? It's a very cool sign. Like my most important consideration is like, is it cool? Is it gonna add life? I'm just kidding. So.
Madam Chair, so here's just a quick question. It does seem like what is permitted right now, the 12 square foot max, seems really small for signage. So I'm just curious. I mean, like, you know, on face value, just seeing like the gap between 12 square foot being permitted versus the applicant's request, like that, you know, it makes sense for the size of the building and what the other buildings nearby signage look like. But I'm just curious, like, how that standard was set, because it does seem pretty small.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure Shannon can provide. Yeah, I'm, as you know, I've only been here for about 2 years now, and I'm sure this predates me.
Yes, Shannon, everybody. So, that 12 square feet for projecting signs, when you think about, there's like this suite upstairs kind of signs.
Yeah.
And so our current zoning code is for signs quite restrictive. And it really didn't take into account, you know, all of the new technologies and, you know, expression of signage, which is why this chapter is actually, section is in the code to allow you guys to look at these more exciting signages for places like the downtown flats and be able to vary. But it is very.
I was missing something.
I mean, on the one hand, I mean, the good news is that these kind of variances don't have to go to Board of Zoning Appeals.
Yes.
That's the most important thing. We can do them quickly, and I think we can use a design lens as opposed to a technical lens, because the idea is to have a vibrant, exciting city, but not also to create a situation where it's complete chaos. So I love that it comes here. I remember actually discussion many years ago about that and how important it was that that planning sees these, not Board of Zoning Appeals. And so that's the good news. It's an extra step in the process, but at least we can be quick about it.
I think that's really important. Part of it is for us to think about that discretion. You can actually vary the code to be more restrictive or less restrictive to get that better design in places like better.
Yeah. Anybody want to give a high five to this project?
Madam Chair. I make a motion that the variance for the high five summary be approved from 56 square feet to 68 square feet.
Second.
Motion and second, call the roll.
Oh,
And the projection. Sign shall extend horizontally no more than 4 feet from the wall, so it's according to section 35.3.
So you're giving the variance.
Proposing 8.54 from the first.
We have a motion and a second, call the roll.
Anthony,
Yes.
Curry,
Yes.
Craig Scott,
Yes.
McKnight,
yes.
Slight.
Yes.
Motion carries. Question, Sheila, why are you here? There's nothing on the agenda for you. Where is it?
406,
No, I don't, where is she?
mandatory referral.
Oh, mandatory. Oh,
Get their.
the other mandatory, but we're almost there.
Thank you guys so
Okay.
much. Thank you.
Um,
Madam Chair, for the next item,
I'm gonna try.
next item with this public square garage signage. This was tabled at design review, so I would like to request the planning commission postpone this item to the next meeting.
Okay. We have a motion to postpone.
I'll move to postpone the public square garage signage matter until the next.
I second.
Motion and second, call the roll.
Anthony,
Yes.
Curry,
Yes.
Craig Scott.
Yeah.
Knight,
Yes.
Slayton.
Yes.
Motion carried. The next item is design review 2024-020. This is Oswald Company Skyline Signage seeking final approval. This is at 950 Main Street. I think we have Laura here to speak to it. I'll swear her in. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth as you shall answer to the penalty of perjury?
I do.
Okay, I know.
I wanted to, John McCray is going to speak on this.
Okay,
And I just wanted to let you know he's on the call as well.
can I have a aye from him too?
Yes, Madam Chair, aye. Good morning,
Okay.
everyone.
Good morning. So I understand this one is new to the agenda. So a little bit of grace here as we get through this one that got onto the agenda, and we're going to figure this out. So are you going to go first?
Yes, I'm gonna go first just to give you some
Context.
background
Okay.
information.
Let's go.
So Shannon Leonard, Chief Zoning Planner. So this is for the old Ernst & Young building. It's being taken over by Oswald. I don't have a presentation for you because it's also new.
Okay.
And I also don't have the formal calculations fully for all of the signs being proposed, but what I can tell you is that they are proposing, I believe, 3 skyline signs. And you may remember from the 1994 policy of the skyline signs, that you all can vary the code to allow those skyline signs. The key being that Oswald is the primary tenant, where they have, I think, 55 to 60% of the floor space within the building to be a skyline sign. And so they will need the variances for all the wall signage that they're proposing. The exact amount, I don't have that for you in this very moment, but they are asking for those variances today.
If we like the design, can the commission, from a process point of view, we'll just leave it to staff? We'll it will come to staff to do the technicality piece of it.
Yeah, the
if we
calculated
agree.
variance, just
Yeah,
when your
okay.
motion will include those, and then really looking at today whether, I think about 5 years ago that you guys had decided on only allowing 2 skyline signs, and we started getting a lot of requests for them,
Right.
but it's up to you to make that decision.
Okay, thank you.
So I'll turn it over to Laura and her team.
All right, thank you. Go ahead, John or Laura.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson and board members. Thank you for having us this morning. Oswald's very excited to make the move over to 950 Main Street, and 131 years of being in Cleveland. Definitely they are a longstanding company with Cleveland, and very excited to make the move. So moving into the presentation, we've given you a context map, which was the very first page that we had that just simply shows the building. This page shows the building as well, along with a number of different photo angles, which we can go, in the interest of speed for the meeting, we can go through these pretty quickly. But you can see we've put together a lot of different shots so that everybody has a very good feeling and sees exactly different vantage points of where the 3 signs for the high rise are being proposed at. These 3 signs, along with the other 2 signs in the presentation, have been developed with the marketing team at Oswald under their branding standards for their trademark logo and font style, type, color, etc. So in our development of all this process, it's keeping in nature with that. We're proposing the 3 replacement signs to replace the past Ernst Young letter sets that you see on these building shots. One on the east, one on the south, one on the west. Went through design review board yesterday, took note on some minor modifications that they asked for us to do. And as of this morning, we created actually a revised drawing this morning for 3 of these, actually, the 3 high-rise drawings that you see now. The request was basically to stay within building lines that are shown on the drawing to make sure that we, that drawing there is a old slide. So I would say the west elevation is not shown there correctly. And I don't know if Dan had a chance, Dan with design review with planning had a chance to get those new drawings over on this or not.
We received them at 9:30 this morning, so we did not.
Wait, I have
Okay.
can I ask a question, just as it's a technical, sorry to interrupt you. Are you saying that what you're proposing is that the Oswald at the top actually come down a little bit to be more in the building line? Is that what you're saying?
No, it was shifting left and right to pick up vertical building lines that are scored in the actual building surface itself. So design review had asked that we just make sure we kind of frame the Oswald letters on the
Got
east and
it.
west between two different building elements.
Got
So it's minor modifications. It adjusted the size 2% is what, and it came down in size.
Got
So that was the adjustments we made.
it. Okay.
The letters you see during the day would look as you see here. They're red faced. They are translucent. So at nighttime, everything you see there would be lighting red as well. So that's the intent. They're flush mounted to the building. They have no raceway boxes behind them, so you'll have no shadowing for those letters. So very tastefully done. Very, very nice compliment to the building. So those are the three letter sets that we have: east, west, and south. We can move to the next slides. This, just real quick, where you see the O and the D line up on those lines, that's what we're doing as well on this would be the east elevation. We're doing that exact same thing on the west elevation. So just keep that in mind. Any questions on these? If not, I'll move forward to the final two signs that we're presenting.
So when you would a design review ask you to reduce the size a little bit?
Yes.
And my question is actually like, just my opinion, it's a little bit awkward the way that it adjusts to the top of the building. Is that, in the reduction of the size, will it sit more like centered? Like it?
Yes,
it just
you'll have
reads
more
odd.
negative space top and bottom. Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so it
I
doesn't look
mean,
pasted in there.
I'm not opposed to the sign, but like it really does look awkward being top adjusted to the top. It doesn't do justice to Oswald, to be honest, but I like it. Anyway, go ahead.
It's framed and we're constrained, so on that building there are vertical 2 foot deep vertical building elements that are blocking getting that down in the middle. So we're framing it in basically the only sign framed area that we could work with. Very similar to Ernst Young, they were faced with the same challenges. So
okay.
Already. Next slide, please. And similar next. Okay, so for this is at ground level. This is a wall. Has illuminated, these are face illuminated perforated stainless steel faces on these letters. They're 2 inches deep, which is hard to show in the photo simulation. So it almost looks like the photo simulation showing them almost flat, but they're not. They will be 2 inches deep in keeping with the standard that was set for those letters. At nighttime, all of those letters you see light through the face white. During the day, they're stainless steel gray, stainless steel color. Next slide, please. Last set of letters that we have, again, this is at the building entrance from Main Street. Similar to Ernst Young, Oswald is looking to put a set of facelit letters here. The white outline that you see in the photo simulation is simply so you can pull that off, get a gauge of the outline form of the letters. It will not be white on the returns, and it will not be white on the actual trim. The letters themselves are facelit, so they light red at night as well. And that's how that sign's built. It's flush mounted to that fascia. And that concludes our presentation.
Questions, comments? If we make a motion, I think we'll have to leave actually this to the director and staff on the details, and also to clarify the specific in terms of the amount of square footage. Right. One thing before you go, Dan, is like I have to be honest. Like the only really concerning slide is the messy one with all the different fonts, and I know you can't do anything about that because that's already there. But that's just not a great situation. But it's small and it's on the steps. I know exactly where it is, kind of when you walk up there. And it's not your fault, but that's a real mess.
Yeah, it's
Anyway, you don't have to comment. It's not your fault. I mean, even if you add Oswald and it's at the same 2 inches deep, it's like, it's okay, but it's small.
Yeah.
It's a mess. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this was seen by Downtown Flats yesterday. It was approved with conditions. The applicants covered the majority of the conditions. A couple of things I just wanted to note. They are looking for that left and right justified, and I'll actually just flip to the slide that shows it. Shows it best. Oops, I skipped it. So this does basically show what the committee was getting at, is that O being aligned with that allostair element, and the B being aligned with that construction joint. So as I mentioned, having that on both sides. They also asked that it be reduced by roughly 5% to get that spacing between the top and the bottom. So I actually sent a quick render to the applicant this morning based on the committee. Just so you guys see, I think really what the committee was asking for. I think John indicated he might have already sent a revision back. It's nothing yet, so
Much better.
that's much closer to what the committee was looking for, and that should meet the requirements that they set forth in conditions. And the committee just said these changes can come back to staff for final. That's it.
Mission member.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that Oswald companies that installation report, the conditions that by Downtown Flats. So review and any other additions to be approved by the director.
Second. We have a motion, a second. Do you have what you need?
We need something else for the variances and specifically the skyline signs. As
So-
part of the variance, like that you approved the 3.
Yeah.
As approved by the Downtown Flats.
Yeah,
As approved, the signage as approved by Downtown Flats and
for 3, for 3.
So 3 skyline
Three
signs.
skylines
As approved by
as approved by Downtown Flats.
We have another second? Second, motion is second. Only discussion I'll have before we vote is, I think this is really great that Oswald is is moving here. It's important for Cleveland, important company. So although we're working out the sign quickly and it's unusual, I think it's for a really good purpose to keep an important company downtown. And so thank you for the staff for the flexibility here. We'll get there. Call the roll.
Anthony,
Yes.
Curry,
Yes.
Craig Scott,
Yes.
Knight,
Yes.
Schleifer.
Yes.
All right, so we have one more mandatory referral. This is 406204. Thank you. Authorizing the mayor and commissioner to purchase and supplies to sell certain city-owned property no longer needed at 1848 East 101st Street and 9910 Woodward Avenue to Gordon Crossing land. You do not work for the city and you are not, so we'll swear you in, just be careful. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth as you shall answer to the penalty of perjury?
I do.
All right, thank you.
And Miss
Morning, members of the planning
Angela,
commission.
she's on the call. Does she need a swear? Unless, if she's gonna, you can. Angela Bennett's also on. You wanna swear in Angela, Lillian?
Angela, say yes. Aye. Where is?
Aye.
Okay, go ahead.
Good morning, members of the planning.
Good morning.
This case 406-2024 is to sell 2 parcels of city of Cleveland land
for the Gordon Crossing NITEC project. So we're not gonna spend a lot of time on that project because of the planning commission is having this meeting months already. But we do want to illustrate what's being done around the land assembly for the project. So the slide that you're looking at here demonstrates what's being sold for the site development as it is now. The north side is Woodward Avenue, to the right, East 101st, and to the south is Historic Newton Avenue. Chester is just to the south of that. So in the color parcels, you're looking first at the red parcel in the center at the top on the north end. That's a parcel that we've already transferred to Gordon Crossing Land Company LLC, which is a combination of Frontline Development and Mobile Cooper. The parcels in the green are land bank parcels, which we're selling. We're in the process of preparing the deeds now to transfer over to the development group. And so we're here today about the two, my slide was gold, but sort of the lighter green parcels here on the screen. So in the upper right corner, light green is parcel 119-12057, and the one to the left of that is ending in 084. So these parcels we're here today because they're not in the land bank. Land bank, we already have legislative authority to move those parcels to disposition. But when they're City of Cleveland parcels, we first have to find out which department has jurisdiction. And then once we determined that they were in community development, then we added that to our bucket of parcels that we were selling for the project. But because they're City of Cleveland parcels, they do require legislative. The next slide, or the last slide, is just an area of where the project would go. And then the slides following that are images of the development itself, which is a 46-unit low-income housing tax credit project. It has it's using a 70% AMI for the units. There's a mix of 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units. Just images of the development itself, again, showing, illustrating where the project is developed. And this is a site project process. I don't believe this is anything new to what you have already seen.
If I may, Commissioner, this was before the Landmarks Commission.
I was gonna
So
say,
this
we
was
didn't
approved.
see it.
It was
I don't
approved by the Landmarks
Yeah,
Commission.
Commission. Got it.
I believe that's the last slide. So if you have any questions for either myself or the intelligence.
All right, for me, it's a phenomenal project, long time coming for Upper Chester, kind of to continue. My only, it's not pertinent to the selling of the land, which I'm supposed to, is that when you went through design review, what's the facade that is facing Newton that terminates the historic street? Were there any kind of enhancements to that to make it be like more like a front?
The local, that particular, was it Euclid Corridor Review, I think, they did ask for that. And they went back and forth with the development, with the construction team around that, but if there's a recommendation, I'm sure we could take it back to the team.
Well, it's a small thing. Can you go back one? It's just a small, like there was a slide. Next, go back. One more. There was an image of that side. There it is. So, so like that facade is Newton. That's Newton. So you get those historic houses, and I see like a wood trellis kind of there. You know, to the extent that, and then I see some what look like bricked up windows, right? So it looks like a side. To the extent that there are some enhancements that make that ground floor piece feel really like, you know, because Newton's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, not, you can't change the floor plan, but like more that it really is the bookend of Newton to make a few minor enhancements there. But it already went through design review, but you can take it back if you, yeah.
If there are modifications, it would have to go to the landmark staff
Mm-hmm.
for final review.
Is it
That's a
possible we could get any comments from this committee to commission to take back to my team?
Yeah, as only recommendations, as this is a legislative matter, but.
Yeah, I was just opinion,
We would
not
appreciate
matter.
the
Okay.
recommendations.
Okay, it's just like, I love the project, I love it, like, I think that, you know, this will also do a lot for, I think, the next phase of Upper Chester, which still has a lot more opportunity, and so that corner, so, but, very, supportive of the parcels.
And Madam Chair, this is a mixed income project. So.
Okay, great.
Motion to approve the mandatory withdrawal matters. I don't have the wording, I'm sorry.
It's the first one, it's page, or sorry, it's page 7.
Motion to approve the sale of the city-owned properties to the Gordon Crossing and Co. LLC for future development.
I said it.
Motion and second, any other comments? Call the roll?
Anthony,
Yes.
Curry.
Yes.
Craig Scott,
Yes.
Knight,
Yes.
Swift.
Yes.
Motion carries. How soon will we see this?
So we break ground this summer, in July, that's the plan, and then in service, fourth quarter of 2025.
Nice. All right. Thank you. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Sorry we
Thank
made
you very
wait.
much.
We made you wait so long.
It's okay.
So we just have administrative approvals. Take a quick look at them. There are 6. And then once you get a chance to scan them, there doesn't look like anything unusual to my knowledge. We'll need a motion.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that the administrative approval to stop the.
We have a motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. Call the roll?
Anthony,
Yes.
Curry,
Yes.
Craig Scott,
Yes.
Knight,
Yes.
Swift.
Yes.
Motion carries. All right, we have a director's report and the world's fastest planning commission meeting
No.
ever.
It's 10:10, so.
Let's go. You got 5 minutes.
I know.
Ready, go.
And, you know, honestly, I don't have that much of a director's report today. I will share just a few things. We are moving forward with the hire of a senior planner who will join our zoning section, which we're very excited about. So we'll add capacity to, right now it's just Shannon and Xavier. So we're very excited to have a third person, and he will join us on Monday the 13th. Also, Xavier Bay, I haven't shared this with the rest of the staff team yet, but he has been promoted to the role of city planner from senior assistant planner. So it's excellent job with your presentations and handling zoning matters. So congratulations. A few things, just operationally, we are working through an evaluation of the design review process. So we put out a survey to the design review committee members for both planning and landmarks. That totals almost 100 volunteers. So it's kind of incredible that we have this kind of like crew of people who dedicate their time bi-weekly to support the city. And what we did was we asked for a SWOT, a strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats analysis from them. We're currently compiling all of those points of feedback. We also have some SWOT from planning staff from last year. We're also putting it out forward to any applicants who may have feedback. And we really want to understand how we can adjust the design review process to benefit the city, benefit the applicant, benefit our process. So we hope to come before you in the summertime with a summary of that, of our findings and, you know, any adjustments or policies needed. I want to shout out Michael Bozak for his work. This is just a small but big thing. As some of you know, we have a 6th floor attic that has all of our all of our records from the past like 60 years. That has just been piling and piling up, and Chief Tuin from operations has basically mandated a cleanup of the attic, the sub-basement, other places as we go into the next stage of what City Hall's gonna look like and how we're gonna use our spaces. So Michael Bozak headed up the process of records retention.
Yeah,
And-
Hunter Morrison's like itchy right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite a dusty, itchy space right now. But I want to commend him for spending so much extra time up in the attic. We had a whole crew of people that went up yesterday as well to clean out our items. And we are going to work with Cleveland Public Library to identify what should be archived.
Right.
Because there's a lot of photographs and maps that we think needs to be in the public. We also finished the permitting process. This is an analysis between building and housing, planning, MOCAP, and others to streamline our permitting process. There are going to be some big moves coming up. We're in the process of putting together a PowerPoint, which we'll also share with you at some point, just operationally how we'd like to see some things move. We've been advocates of moving zoning review first and into planning, and that is something that will begin to kind of operationally move in the future. So Shannon right now is both Rick Riccardi and the zoning manager of city planning.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's a streamline right there.
That's a
That'll
streamline.
make the public really happy.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, last mention is that citywide plan, I feel like I keep talking about it. We are looking at Cleveland 2040. I went to the National Planning Conference and actually a lot of cities are getting ready to do their 2040 plans, so we're in good company. And I think at a later point, we'd really love to hear from the commission or what you'd like to see in the citywide plan process, what you'd like to see engagement look like, what you'd like to see the topics covered, as well as process. One thing that we would like to do is put out a pre-survey to the public, even before we issue an RFP, to kind of get a temperature check of where people are, what themes they're thinking about for our city as we think about 2040. So that way, as we kind of go into the process of selecting consultants to help us and the right teams, we really want to make sure we're aligning that with the public's desires. So it is going to be a huge lift. We're excited about it and would really want your guidance. So if there's any comments now, be happy to hear them, but we'll be back before you.
Other than I'm really old because I was hired to work on the 2020,
Why?
I led the citywide
2000.
So like I'm freaking old. Like 20 years later.
Well,
oh,
we would love to hear from your experience.
No, I'm good. She said no.
Does go to DPNS on May 23rd.
Yes. DPNS the 21st and then committee of the whole on June 3rd.
Yeah.
So
I can get my birthday present, but we'll get Weston and my son's birthday present.
Thank you.
Thank you.